This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. At the end of the day, I'm just a bloke with a chest freezer in his backyard, and before undertaking anything such as an ice bath, you should consult your health professionals and do your own research. Now, time for the show. Before we begin, let's take a breath. Now imagine stepping into warm silence. No phones, no pressure, just you suspended in stillness. At Mind Over Matter practice in Victor Harbour, you'll find space to truly reset, whether it's in their float tank, a private infrared sauna, or a guided ice bath designed to bring you back into your body. Mention Trav when you book and receive 15% off of all treatments. Go to mindovermatterpractice.com.au. This is where the healing begins. G'day legends, welcome to this week's episode of the Cold Exposure Hot Topics Podcast. I'm your host Trav Dittmar, and a big thank you to Mind Over Matter Practice for making this show possible as well. I'm joined with Tracey Grigg. Tracey, how are you?
I'm well, thank you, Trav.
Excellent.
Thanks for having me.
Now, we've been about 15 minutes removed from the ice bath now. How are you feeling? I'm
feeling cool, physically, yeah. I was feeling quite nervous about this interview, so we'll see how things go. But I always enjoy the ice bath. It's a wonderful exercise of resetting, coming back to yourself, and yeah, absolutely. Now, it's very happy to have you down here and have you on the show. What brings you to the show today? To be honest, I was reading a book called Course in Miracles, but it's the one that's made easy. So it's written by Alan Cohen, and he was just, someone said to him once, you should share your story and you never know who it might help. So that's kind of what gave me the inspiration to think, I'll just, have a go and share a little bit. So, yeah. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's such a good point, isn't it? Everyone's got a story, and we might not feel like ours is important necessarily, but everyone has to hear. Well, you never know who needs to hear what you have to say. So, no, it's really, really admirable that you've come on and fully own the nerves that you have as well. Like that's important to put out there, because now we have power over them. So let's go back to the start of your journey in this space, I suppose. So you were reading a book around miracles and things like that, but that wouldn't have been your first iteration into the spiritual world, the personal development world, would it?
No, that wasn't.
No?
It's the beginning of a whole new chapter that I'm really grateful for, to be in this space now. It's taken, actually 23, almost 25 years to find a place that I can actually trust within myself. Trust, and not just trust, but be really grateful and appreciative of so much in my life, and the So there's been a lot of different iterations of self throughout that period, I suppose. So around 25 years or so ago, what was the catalyst that started you on your journey? Yeah, okay. This is, I'm just going to tell it, right?
Yeah.
So, truthfully, I was, married mum with 3 kids. They were 9, 7, and 4. And I was, as the world would see it, quite comfortable. I had a nice home and comfortable. I wasn't working, so I was wearing my children, I suppose. But I just I was playing midweek tennis, believe it or not. And I remember now back then that I was putting up a mask to the world. I was pretending to be happy, pretending to be something I wasn't, doing all the right things, seeing a GP, speaking to, I'm not sure if I was seeing a psychologist at that stage, but I was, doing things that made me happy, and as they give you all the sort of like tips of how to improve your mood and take care of depression. So I hadn't been diagnosed with depression at that stage, and but I was playing tennis, and I had an instant of it may be being called, now you may call it disassociation perhaps, but it was like a minute instant. And all I can remember was my partner at the time, she said, "Tracey, they're going to serve to you." And her speaking those words to me just sort of brought me back into, I hadn't lost consciousness or anything, but I'd had an experience where I felt like I was drowning, not in water, just lost. It was, it's difficult to describe, but it was very frightening when I sort of came back in, and she reminded me, sorry, I'll slow down. But yeah, when she said, yeah, they're going to, are you ready? And I went, oh. And then I was like, what had happened? You know, I was just, it was frightening. I'd lost, I suppose, some sort of mental control or something, but I hadn't, you know, it was minuscule. I ran off the court in complete, fear and distress. And it was really frightening for me to do that. And I just ran straight to my GP, got my car and drove straight to my GP. And within a 5-minute interview, I was handed an antidepressant, and so that was the beginning of a lot of ins and outs, a lot of trying to manage side effects and trying to come off on medications, and years worth. I won't bore you with all those details, but lots and lots of trying to follow trails and listening to others, listening to kind and caring medical professionals that had their best intentions, my best intentions, I'm sure. I'm not angry with any of that, but there was an error made after I don't think they do that these days. They won't give you a 5-minute interview and slap you with an antidepressant. They'll hopefully talk to you a bit longer, go into a bit more of what you can do other ways, and before they just sort of do that. But I suppose the GP at the time just thought, you know, I don't know what she thought actually, but that's okay.
It's interesting, isn't it? You know, I myself have suffered with depression and things like that as well, and it's pretty common these days, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
And you know, it's not always like, I think maybe even when you were first looking into treatment for yourself, like there was probably still that one size fits all approach, like, oh, this person's showing.
Yeah, it's 25 years ago, so you know.
Yeah,
things have improved.
Absolutely. So once that, I suppose, was recognised, and then you know you went down on the path of your first round of antidepressants, sort of thing. What did the journey look like from a mental health perspective? There was it just sort of, all right, I've got these, I'm going to continue on with my life as it is, or were there some other changes happening?
Well, of course, I was still mum to 3 kids, and I'm married, and so a part of me was like, I want to heal this, because I'd played sport all my life, and I never wanted to I like to be a natural person and not have any medication, not even Panadols too much, you know. But so I sort of would think I've learnt something and come off, and then I would, you know, it would backpedal again, and I'd have to take up something else again and then change things. And it's really complex, and a really it's probably too hard to really say too much, except that I tried to follow the prescription of what the medical system was giving me. I tried to do the right things for myself, and of course keep the home running and everything else, and keeping on. I didn't want anyone to be affected by my illness, you know, or this supposed illness. So I tried to keep things as normal as possible for a long time. But at the same time, I also was given some cassette tapes from my auntie, from Louise Hay.
Oh, yeah.
And so that sort of, I started trying this sort of like on the side to find a natural way to remedy something's happening for me, you know, that something happened. There's a reason I was holding up a mask. You know, there was a reason I was not wanting to admit and hold my hand up and say I'm not happy, or, you know, there was a reason I felt like I couldn't talk about it or tell people except a psychologist or a psychiatrist.
So was that, at that point in time, was that reason clear to you, or was there a multitude of reasons that were there that,
I can tell you, actually,
Yeah.
I really didn't think I was worthy, that was really, I didn't see that I really had any sense of value deep down, I think. And I love, Jim Carrey has spoken on depression, and he will say that, you know, the avatar that you were trying to, you know, pretend to be, or who you were trying to be, your soul, or was just saying this is not who you are. This is not who you are, and I'm done. You're not going to keep, you know, you need to just stop trying to be something you're not.
Yeah.
It's layered, isn't it? You know, there's so many.
Yeah.
It's not that simple, but.
No, and I mean, you know, that sort of realisation is it can be the catalyst, it can be the overarching justification, for want of the better terminology. But then once you've realised that, and I'll use his terms, like once, okay, the avatar, the mask that I'm putting on isn't me, okay, what is? And then that filtration process can take a very long time, as I'm sure you're aware. You know, so was there
do something well, you might as well, you know.
Exactly
Take your time.
right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So was there a few, you know, you've mentioned a few different things like the cassette tapes and stuff like that. Were there some other things that you were trying to introduce to see, you know, is that me? Or, you know, does this fill me with joy or pride or worth or those sorts of things?
It was a long journey. Unfortunately, a marriage didn't last. I just want to say first of all that I don't recommend anyone go off medications or on medications. I don't have any real. I'm very neutral about it because it's so individual.
Yeah, absolutely.
The whole person. There's the whole life around them that matters. So, just want to say that first of all. But
cool. Yeah, great.
Yeah, but so yeah, I was continually. It didn't feel right on them for me, and I wanted to find ways to navigate to become free of that. Unfortunately, our marriage didn't survive. And I became a single mum then, and the children were going between houses, and it wasn't ideal.
So how old were the kids then when the marriage ended? Or...
Okay. Well, we had a separation. We came back together for a couple of years, and then it was again, it just wouldn't work. Fortunately, I have to have deep gratitude for my ex-husband. He's not with us anymore, unfortunately. And I apologise if that's upsetting to anybody. But eventually I became a single woman getting back out in the workforce, and I think what's coming to mind now is that I was eventually working in administration at a forklift company, and I was on an antidepressant and then a mood stabiliser. So unfortunately the diagnosis kept changing as the years went by, and they sort of wanted to add this and add that. And eventually I was, after my role at admin, I just got in my car and drove down the street, and I collapsed crying at a seat. I just didn't feel like I was living. I felt like I was existing, and it was very distressing. Yeah. So I did as much research as I could around meditation, which was the best meditation to start. That might benefit me, and I came to Transcendental Meditation. So TM.
Yeah, TM. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and so that really started to change things up quickly, because within 6 weeks, I did do it for 12 months, morning and night, for 20 minutes. So 6 weeks in, I had an experience of complete relaxation and deep rest within my body, and I think what the mind sort of comes to that still point of and once the mind comes to that still point, the body then follows, and just this peace come over me. So I just had my shoulders dropped, just typical relaxation in my body and mind, and it was something, it shifted my awareness of a space I didn't realize was within me. Yeah, it was really. And then I thought, oh, got it. That's the answer. How you just go, that's it.
That aha moment.
That's it. So that's like about 8 years ago now.
Yeah.
Yes, I found it. Off medication again. It's difficult to for people to understand.
It is,
and that's okay. Don't expect people to understand, because it's not like a broken leg where you can see it's getting all arming. You know that story.
Yeah.
So it's layers, and it's emotional, and it affects lots of things.
It does, and I think people are getting better at understanding this, and not like mental health has obviously had the big boom of people understanding it lately, and there's still a long way to go and stuff, but I've had a similar experience with not only with mental health, but also with chronic illness as well, where, like you say, as soon as you mentioned the broken leg thing there, it was perfect. Like, people see you got a broken leg, they feel sorry for you, or they want to help you.
They feel safe. I can deal with that.
Yeah.
If it's, it affects, if they don't feel safe when you start talking about emotional.
Yeah, like if I wake up one morning and say like,
deal with that.
Yeah, like my body is demonstrating, the signs of a panic attacks type thing, and I feel chaotic inside, but people can't see that. Oh, that's not real.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to bring that up, but also to point out your journey here as well, right? And I don't know whether someone's framed it like this for you before, but when you started going through your, let's call it the mental health journey, for want of a better phrasing, as you said, it was still very new. And it was, okay, let's try this medication. And like you said, okay, that's not working. Let's try this medication. Then let's try this medication. Let's take you off. Let's do this. Let's do that. People don't understand that this was what it was like early on in the mental health journey, where not only is your whole body being stuffed around by these medicines, but life still goes on. You're still a wife. You've still got 3 kids. You're still trying to do all of these different things while navigating this battle. And so, for the time that you were going through it, it might have been obviously pretty tough for yourself and maybe for those people around you. But, I really just want to hone in and appreciate that, because in a lot of ways, for the way we're treated now, yourself and people like yourself were truly the pioneers for, the treatment that we're able to access now. So I really want to hold you in high regard for that, and thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. But it's not just me, there's so many people, and so many people are still navigating that, the effects of medications and life at large, so, and there's no there's no shame in taking the action you need on the day, wherever you are. Especially when you've got others to look after, when you've got children to look after. It's not just yourself.
Yeah, you can't just press pause on everything, can you?
So, I want to give thanks to, all my family around me, and my ex-husband, it's not just my road, it's their road. They've all had to be a part of it, and they've suffered as well, I'm sure, so I'm grateful that they were. And my parents, my dad, all of them. I'm trying not to get emotional now,
That's
but
all right.
This is this is the thing I feel like with people that get depressed is we don't care enough about ourselves, we care more about other people around us and upsetting people around us and hurting people around us. And that's the mentality that creates people suiciding. Okay, because I can't keep doing it to them.
Yeah.
I can't keep doing it to those people around me. I can't keep doing it to them. After 10 years, 15 years, I can't keep doing it. And the mind, in its wisdom, it's a wild animal.
Yeah.
And it's not that's not very wise, is it, to be a wild animal, but it's only doing what it thinks it needs to do for survival and the habitual pattern.
Yeah, based on experience and adaptation and stuff like that, and that's all subjective from person to person, isn't it?
Yeah, and we learn behaviours, and we learn patterns of thinking, and it's part of our personalities, so we're all very different in that regard. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But understanding that, we don't have to listen to our mind, and this is where meditation can give you that opportunity to be an observer of your thoughts, and then even taking it further, recognise you're not your thoughts. And that's when The Power of Now Eckhart Tolle was someone handed that to me actually very early on, that book. And so he was my guru for a long time, in a way. I thought if he could do it, I could do it. There's been many teachers and leaders that have given me inspiration to keep following some breadcrumbs that I didn't know was going to be the right path, but I just this gives you a great motivation to want to be well. Suffering. It gives you a great motivation, unfortunately. It'd be great if people didn't have to suffer to grow through into,
It would, and I think...
But would we? I don't know.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I think suffering is such a key in the human experience, It's very much that you can't have the good without the bad, because if you haven't had the bad, you don't know... You wouldn't be able to appreciate how good the good can be, for want of a better word. Sorry.
That's all right. That's okay.
This
is true. This is true. Yeah.
And I think that's all right. I think when people have sort of been through the ringer with whether it's medical practitioners and things like that and tried different things, you then just seek the simplicity, don't you? It's like, okay, we're trying all this stuff and it's not working. What else can I do? What else is going to help me? And so you did start to touch on a bit of those sorts of things. And I think that the timeline for when you started TM was about 8 years ago. What else did we start to introduce there as that, like you said, you followed the breadcrumbs? What sort of things started to come in? Not necessarily as substitutes for any medications that you might have been on, but stuff that could potentially substitute down the track, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. The Eastern philosophies then, I think, the Eastern spirituality really. Hang on. I think first of all it was Joe Dispenza's work.
Yep.
Yeah, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Sitting on the bookshelf.
Saw him in Melbourne, did a one-day seminar with him, a whole group of people, of course. That's the possibilities, he was sort of sharing it's possible. And then I think really ultimately... unfortunately, I was then single, and working, so I was finding my feet. I was always managed to hold a job, which was great. I'm grateful to that for that. And then a friend of mine said, there's a 6-week compassionate listening course you might like to do and be a part of. And I did that. Wonderful people at Humane Clinic at Christie's Beach.
Oh, nice.
And they were setting up a alternative for people in distress to go, and rather than go to emergency services, they could go to this safe house and be heard.
Wow.
So they were training up people to be volunteers to listen to people in distress. It's amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I think they had it going for a couple of years. Don't quote me. I'm sorry, Matt. I don't know the full detail.
No, that's all right.
But I think they've had to close it down now, unfortunately. But I think it's all purposeful. There's nothing's lost. You always gain something. But I did the course, and then while doing the course, I was offered work as peer group support in the community.
Awesome.
And I was trying to surrender to, whatever's come in front of me, right?
Yeah.
Is kind of meant to be. But I lacked discernment back then. I lacked the key ingredient of discernment. And I said, yes. So they said, would you like to apply for the job? And I said, I'd love to, of course. And I got the job, but with 3 months into that, I burnt out to the lowest point in my life, really.
Yeah, okay.
Because, unfortunately, to let down the people that I was supporting in the community, to let down the women's business that I was part of. It's just so amazing how it amazes me now thinking back how I just to bring myself to the decision and have to go and tell them I have to leave the job and quit. It felt like I had to cut my leg off. I just didn't want to let them down. It's that whole, it's such a deep ingrained a belief system or something inside me is like, I can't let people down.
Yeah.
Well, but what about me? I just couldn't, there was no turning it around. And so that took me in the worst and most, deepest painful place. And to get out of that, I was, I've had a, oh, that's right. When I was in hospital, have had hospitalizations, I say. And, but the blessing of that was that I met a psychiatrist who suggested to me, do you know have you heard of Eckhart Tolle and The Power of Now? And I had that book. And I was like, whoa, like something not mainstream in the public system. So I was thankful for meeting him. So to get me out of that hole, I had an antidepressant and mood stabilizer, something that would be equivalent to speed, but medication of speed.
Yeah, okay.
And I had a sleeping tablet. I'm not that great, but I'm just going to tell the full story.
Yeah, that's what we're after.
People, much greater than me overcoming things, but I had a sleeping tablet for 12 months every night as well. And that was an amazing time as well. I mean, I'm grateful. I'm still here. But there was after a year of that, I thought, what's the prognosis going to be going forward now for me with all these medications? And I knew I was living again. I was surviving, and I was doing laps of a swimming pool without even, feeling it was an amazing experience, this one, really. And again, I do not blame anybody or have any regrets of any of it, really, because I wouldn't be here now.
Yeah.
But I saw Russell Brand's interview with Wim Hof, and so I started doing breath work, and I was speaking to a friend of mine, and I said, I wouldn't mind doing some ice baths. He said, I just do it down at Henley, which is not Amara, but it was another group doing it on the other side of the jetty. Wednesdays for free.
Oh, yeah.
Wednesdays, beach breathing crew. So great, so many people I have to thank of come into my life to show me some, skills really that has supported me in getting better.
Awesome. No, that's really, really good. And, you touched on a lot of things there, which I think you very much come to the realisation of around, like, you can't fill other people's cups up without making sure yours is full as well. And I especially saw that, and I think that lesson may have translated when you went for that peer support job, where I'm trying to do the right thing and I'm trying to help people, but what's going on with me?
Crashed and burned again.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
But you know what? Like, we have these things there to teach us that too, And I like to say, like, failing forward type thing. If people want to use the term failure, like, I know there's a lot of negative connotation around it, but it's not.
I know.
How do you succeed without failure? You don't know what you're going to do, what's going to work without seeing what doesn't. So, obviously now you're right into your ice bars, we're doing some breath work, all of that kind of thing. You've pushed hard, you've broken down, and now it's time to rebuild. At Mind Over Matter Practice in Victor Harbour, recovery isn't an afterthought, it's the whole point. Their treatments are designed to help you come back stronger, both mentally and physically. You'll find cold water immersion, float tank rest therapy, steam and infrared saunas, and mild hyperbaric oxygen sessions to repair the body, clean the mind, and reignite your drive. And don't forget, mention my name, Trav, when you book in and get 15% off of any treatment. This is where pain becomes power. Head to mindovermatterpractice.com.au and start your comeback today. What else are you doing, or including in your life, to make sure that cup is full now?
Well, it's been 15 months now that I haven't had any medications.
Awesome, well done.
I can't really. I've learned so much more about the body-mind connection. I've learned so much more about the mind itself and identifying with ourselves as the mind. I've explored non-duality teachings, recognizing that we're all one in identifying as that, and allowing the presence and awareness to be available through us. And that's just now what I'm exploring is I know I can calibrate my energy, or I find a steadiness within me. It's who I am. It's who I am, and so I don't want to go into too much more. If anybody wants to know any more about that, they could ask me, I suppose. But they're a wonderful. It's not new; it's old.
Yeah.
The Indian teachings. There's lots of books. There's one that there's an American guy, Robert Adams. His books are really connected with me, and and there's so much on YouTube. You can really educate yourself. But when you've got the time in your life, so don't rush things. Don't rush it. I was absolutely. I've been gifted things in my life beyond my imagination that have really helped support me and to continue. So
It's a really good perspective you've got where, like, you're able to acknowledge the experiences that you've had and the feelings that came with that, and, how tumultuous and chaotic that period was. But, you've also described all of that as, like, it's an amazing experience, because it's taught you something. You've come through it, like you say, you've survived through it all. And, it's a really, really good perspective, because a lot of people let that sort of thing beat them down, where, it's just a part of your journey that's made this iteration of Tracey who she is, which is really, really cool. I do have a question for you. And you and I we've been talking over social media since we met, but we met once down, probably 3 months or so ago, down at Moral Wellness. One thing you said to me then was really around having conversations with your family members and things about yourself and your spirituality and all of that. I was wondering how that's going.
Good question. It's going exactly where it needs to be. Right now, you can't force. I'm in the best place of my whole life. I feel I'm financially comfortable. I busy my week doing things. I'm distracted from the.
That's all right.
I'm not avoiding the question, but the answer is everyone is ready when they're ready to understand certain things. And I know myself that 10, 15 years ago, I wouldn't even have an ear to listen to something I might say now, because we are energetic beings as well as physical, and that part of us is exactly where it needs to be, that vibrational frequency kind of aspect. And that really this is what's so beautiful about Wim Hof work, or the ice bath and the breath work, is that we're able to calibrate our own frequencies using these modalities. And bringing peace into our system, bringing balance into our system, which it costs nothing. Your breath. You said, I'm sure you've said these things before, and that's really why I wanted to speak, really to encourage people to know that they have, as Louise Hay has said, that we have the power within us, and that's a long time ago that she spoke those words. But it's true, and but patience was never my thing. I was always so impatient. You can tell I, struggled for that many years, I think, because of my impatience, because my inability to find humour in things. That's something. I was just watching Monty Python clips this morning. Monty Python clips.
Yeah.
Oh boy, so yeah, to find joy in the moment and bringing your mind back with your body in every moment and being completely present in this awareness and stillness and allowing that being, everything gets taken care of. It's really phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's really phenomenal. And I could easily be, called crazy because
No, not at all. But I think you hit the nail on the head.
I care, but I don't care.
Yeah.
A lot these days. But
well, you hit the nail on the head with awareness there, and it's that loving awareness, isn't it? Where you're bringing, like you say, you're bringing yourself back to yourself, your mind back to yourself, and being aware of the environment around you, but also being aware of other people's path in their own journey as well. Lovingly aware of the fact that I can still love this person, I can still show care for this person. However, I also am aware that they're not overly as receptive to maybe what I have to say about certain things. And it's a really powerful balance, isn't it?
It is. And that's all you have to do, really, when you can, I suppose, navigate a space where you feel whole, complete and satisfied.
Yeah.
That was the other thing. I came across a psychotherapist on YouTube teaching non-duality concepts in his practice. So people are able to overcome their personality and see where that's limiting them in their expression.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, and it's these things have been put so many. I could say so many more things that just sort of come into my awareness, or when you let go and rest and just slow down.
Yeah.
Be here and now, and the rest it really does get taken care of.
It does, doesn't it?
I'm glad you understand that, Trav.
Absolutely. It's, we complicate things so much in our minds, but, it's the old expression, keep it simple, stupid, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I found with my mental health journey through medications and things like that, things might work for a little while. And again, this is just me speaking on my perspective, but when I came back to being in nature, getting the sunlight on my skin, getting into an ice bath, those simple little things, they were much more of a cure or a therapy for me than what these other things were. And it's just...
How do you think they were? Why did they work, do you think?
I think because with the medications I was on, there was conflicting side effects and things like that outside of what they were meant to be achieving. And one of the tablets in particular just made me feel like a zombie. Just made me feel very much like on autopilot. And then, I spoke to my doctor about gradually coming off of those. And then once I did, it was suddenly like, I can feel the grass between my toes again. How good's that sun on my skin, And then it just became, all right, I've, done a lot of the work here. I've said no to a lot of things and I'm getting rid of this. What am I going to say yes to? What am I going to welcome back into my life that's going to fill my cup up and not detract from me as a person? And so, for me, those things really, as I said, getting it back to the simplicity of the primal nature of us on our planet. Funnily enough, it's
nourishing enough, and satisfying enough.
Exactly, and you don't need to spend thousands of dollars to walk out into the sunlight. You don't need to wait for 2 years to get a good diagnosis just to jump in the water and feel the salt on your skin. So that's really been my journey with that, and navigating a lot of a lot of the difficulties with medication, and then you get to a certain point and then the universe says, oh no, you've still got more to heal, back down you go, and then up you get.
Yeah, that doesn't really end.
No. I think
Challenges still sort of present. It's not like it's,
And I think the challenges, particularly when you're healing stuff from your past, they can present to you when your energy's in alignment with when you can face those to heal them, you know, when it's not going to break you.
It's so true to build that space to then tackle the things that you need to address and work through emotions of shame and guilt. Oh, yeah, Dr. Gabor Mate, you know, he's wrote a book, When the Body Says No, on the myth of normal. He was recently in Adelaide as well, which was fabulous to go and see him. But I knew when I took myself off all the medications, which also happened through a bit of a synchronicity, a serendipitous thing, which I wouldn't recommend to anybody. But I knew my body was going to come back at me in a way, like it was going to say, hello, we're here now, what's happening? You know, the nervous system doesn't just, a nervous system needs tender love and care, you know. And so I thought, right, I need some, you know, tools. So I did Wim Hof breathing for religiously every morning, got the app, and then I thought, you know, this is just another addiction in a way, you know, like it's another crux, you know. I didn't want to have to have to do 7 o'clock Wim Hof every morning.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want to have that either, because you're still sort of tied into something. It's good. Nothing wrong with that. If you love that and you enjoy it and it sets out for day, which they do, keep doing it, you know.
Yeah, everyone's got their different journey with it.
I just, you know, I think, okay, yes. So,
I think,
When the Body Says No was incredible. I got to read about personalities and different illnesses that can, there's sort of some scenarios that sort of, he's an incredible man. I'm not sure, he's 80-something now, I think. Incredible wisdom and you know, speaking from his experience in his life. And have you heard of him at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I've done a lot of content consuming in my early days. Yeah, Peter Levine,
Yeah. So, you know, like just a simple thing, like I was being to see, it was Grandparents' Day, my grandson's childcare, and I went and I knew I wasn't really connected. I felt nervous and my brain wasn't working. I couldn't talk as effortlessly and as enjoyably as I would like. And I got back into my car after the end of that and I just cried, and I thought, you know, that I just didn't, I hated that feeling. So I thought, okay, you know, I've got to feel what this is that's happening. My nervous system is out of kilter, you know, that's why the brain is a bit out of balance. And then so I sat with the feeling and I named it. And then I went home and just sat in my lounge room and watched the Peter Levine video, and I just breathed through it and did the and it worked. You know, like it shifted. Yeah. And so the power you feel when you can take, you know, it's not control. It's about transmuting and just changing. Yeah. Changing it, but not letting it work through you, because obviously it's there for a reason. The emotion.
Yeah, like not running away from it.
Yeah. And so and then I found anger releasing on the videos as well, and thought, what's happening here now? I don't feel that ease, you know.
Yeah. And I think like what I sort of get, you know, with those sorts of things is there's seasons for it all, isn't there? Like we can't always just be in the work healing or all of that all the time, you know. No. We've got to also go out and live. We've got to hold space for others. You know, there's all of these different iterations, and I think the breathwork example you just made then it's perfect for that. You know, there might be a season where someone's got to, like, it's really good for them to just 7 o'clock every day for the next 3 months on doing that breathing. Yeah. Other times it might just be, okay, I just feel like doing a meditation this morning. That's where I'm more feeling called to, and just being able to, again, it's that loving awareness, but of self. It's going, what does my body need to feel love in this sort of time? And it's a really, really powerful distinction to make, because there's a lot of rhetoric out there. There's a lot of you should do this, you should do that, you should, you know. We're all just on our own journey, and things work differently for everyone.
The hardest thing is to trust that you're worth your time to check in.
Yeah.
And trust you know what you need to do for you, and trust that making a space for you is not indulgent or, selfish.
And a quote I love about this, and I can't remember who says it, but it popped up on my feed again the other day, and it was around meditation or sitting in nature, and it was, you should always try and sit in nature for 20 minutes a day. Unless you're busy, then you should sit in nature for an hour.
Yes, yeah. I've heard that.
And it is very much that piece where you in your mind, you're having that internal prioritization battle, right? Where you wake up and it's like, all right, I've got this, and this to get done today. Oh, maybe I don't have time to meditate. That's exactly when you should.
I know, but then you probably don't, and that's okay too,
Yeah.
and then there's another day. There's always tomorrow. There's always, and I've taken out Han is another teacher that I've read a lot of his books and was part of a Sangha group for a while where we would meditate together and then go through the structure that he used to follow that was set up in his Sanghas. And so much. There's so much out there really. And there's so many people providing great spaces to to have that and have that snapshot of just 1 hour a week if that's all you can make time for, then just do that.
Anything's better than nothing.
Yeah, and just be really kind to yourself. Really learn kindness, self-compassion. That was not a natural thing for me to embody, but I, that was something else that came up, and read some more books, and like you're right, life is still happening all the time. So that's the challenge.
It is. So, we've covered a lot of the journey here, which has been lovely. What about going forward? What's next in the timeline of yourself?
This is where I'm probably a little bit weird.
No such thing as weird here.
Because I have an intention to be of service.
Yeah.
What that looks like, I'm not sure. I'm participating in a mentoring business setup thing. I don't know. It doesn't feel like I'm taking the action of my own self. It's a guide. It's been guided in a way, and my only practice is to be present here and now. Yeah. It sounds really cliche, I know, and becoming aware when I need to act when it presents itself to me.
Yeah.
So, my week, I've been very fortunate that I was gifted a house.
Well, that's always helpful, isn't it?
Yeah. It got me caught up in the beginning because I used to feel like, I need to give back now because I've been given this amazing gift. And so I got caught up in still not being worthy enough, to just accept this gift.
Yeah.
But I've since sold that place and purchased a new place, which has given me some financial freedom.
Okay, yep.
So I volunteer at the homelessness centre, or Baptist Care SA in Wright Street. There's a homelessness centre there and a food hub, and I volunteer there 2 full days a week. And I left a job last year because I didn't feel like I could bring my full self to that role anymore. I left that job and thought I need to keep structure in my life, so I just Googled volunteering, food, community, and this position came up, and so I followed that, and I've been there since October and loving it. I love it. I really love so much. And just in that volunteer role, I'm meeting people from Korea and Nigeria and all these other wonderful social work students that volunteer, and I just feel so, it's
your cup's full.
It is so much.
Yeah.
I walk and I do it. have a spiritual community. This last March, I thought I feel like I want a spiritual community to be just a part of the community and be somewhere to give back.
Mm-hmm.
And so I revisited somewhere I'd been. I don't know whether to give. I don't like.
If you want to place them, you can. If not, we can keep it general.
I'd been up there on and off over the years, and they were wonderful women. Who'd really meant a lot to me and mentored me as well through my more difficult, dark times. You know, one woman, she said, anytime you want to come and sleep on my couch, you come anytime, morning. And so she's 88 now.
Oh, wow.
And today's the 88th day. Did you know of the year?
Yeah, and 88th ice bath. And
it's of course, and it's World Piano Day.
Yeah, wow.
So and just there's just it's my breath gets taken away so often for the transformation really in my experience of life. And I don't feel like I have to give or have to for any reason. No one has to be anything they don't want to be. But it feels like an effortless space to be of service for anyone in distress or overwhelmed. And I suppose I'm considering being available on a donation basis for anyone that would like to discuss what they're going through. Whatever's in their abilities that they want to give, if it's lemons off their tree or anything, So I've got myself on Instagram a little bit now, and it doesn't feel like I'm very I'd rather not speak about. I'd rather just be, I don't know what that's about, but
I think maybe it's, and could be wrong here, but maybe it's all right. I can recognise in myself that I'm doing a good thing for the community, but that feels odd for me to speak about. Is that maybe what's going on a bit there? Or?
No, it's not. I effortlessly feel joyful and grateful just about all day.
Yeah.
Every
okay.
day.
Yeah. So
things will still, emotions still come up because life will happen around me, and I'll still have. But it's kind of like it sort of works through me so much quicker and effortlessly that I'm not really aware of it.
That's awesome. You know what? That's with all of the framework and journey that you've been on to get to that point where you're just grateful for the day that you're having, and
I feel really full, and whole, and
purposeful.
It's a natural outflowing, I suppose, in a way.
That's awesome. And I think it's so beautiful. I think it's unreal though. Like, you said at the start there that you don't know what the service scape really looks like for you going forward, but there are a few things that you're pursuing now, and you know what? If they work out, awesome. If they don't, then you've learned something else, and then you can go and serve in another capacity, and that's another dimension of that loving awareness.
And that's allowing to not have that one road. And keep, and that's the unknown. That Joe Dispenza will say, be ready in the unknown, because it's got to be something you don't expect.
Exactly.
And that's that's like, well, the body wants to be in control and not fear, and not have any fear of what might happen. It's natural. It's the old,
of course it is. That fight or flight. Yeah.
So to be, then that coherence he talks about, mind and brain, is it brain and heart coherence?
It's along those lines.
Space.
I'll have to look at the text again. It's been a little bit, but
heart brain coherence. So holding that frequency is really something quite simple that people are probably doing without realising.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly right. Now, so you've mentioned a few teachings and learnings and different key figures and stuff like that. The way I generally like to start wrapping up is to get you to share a quote that really resonates with you at the moment. And I'm sure there's a plethora going through your mind. But,
No.
No, okay. Or radio silence too.
I'm going to have to try and reach back in there somewhere. Find something. A quote. I do like one of Einstein's quotes about everything is a miracle. Do you know that at all?
I've probably seen it, but yeah.
Yeah. It's basically. Oh no, so I can't think of it. I'm sure someone will know what I'm talking about.
I suppose it's sort of looking at that, everything is a miracle from the perspective of any experience that we have, I suppose, is a neutral experience. It's our attachment emotionally or whatever that turns it into a good or a bad. So maybe that's where it's focusing. I don't know, without having the quote in front of me, maybe that's where it's saying, everything that happens is a miracle. It's just what your interpretation of that is.
Having the eyes to see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I can't.
That's all right. We've been talking for a little while.
There are so many. I love quotes. I quote, I read them a lot. But as far as sharing one, yeah.
Yeah, it's always one I put people on the spot with, so don't feel bad that you can't think of anything right now. That's totally fine.
My mind's trying to.
Yeah.
Find one.
No, that's all good. Now, where can people find you on social media? Assuming they want to find you and connect with... assuming you want them to find you and connect with the work you're doing.
Just on Instagram, Tracey Grigg.
Tracey Grigg on Instagram, yeah.
I'm on Facebook as well.
Yeah.
This is all you're the first person that ever said that, so I'm really not prepared.
That's all right.
But also, I think it's amazing the synchronicities and how things connect, that it'll happen anyway without me even having to say something here, you know what I mean?
Someone will find it that needs to find it.
It does happen already, Mark. I'm already having just the serendipity of talking with someone at the food hub out the back about things, and you see the alignment of the same sort of story, and then you just listen to someone and you can see that they're validated by hearing being heard, and an expression of I understand, I really do understand because I've been there.
Yeah.
And so they, there's something that lets go within them, and they go, I'm not the only one, or I'm not alone. And as soon as that space opens up, they can start to see what their next step is. And you see the change in the person's face, a bit like that down at Elmara Wellness on Saturday mornings, from the beginning we get there, 7:30 to the hour after, the energy's changed them. And they've done that themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
People can do it themselves.
I really love that philosophy, it's really powerful. So I'll put Tracey's details into the show notes as well if you do want to connect on the social media platforms there. Is there anything you'd like to leave us with before we wrap up here today?
No.
No, I think we've covered a fair bit of ground, haven't we?
I can't think of anything. Thanks, Trav.
No, that's all right. And it's been a pleasure to have you guys on with us as well. You can find me on socials. I'm The Journey of Trav on Instagram, Trav Dittmar on YouTube and TikTok. And then the podcast is also available on Apple and Spotify and YouTube as well. So thank you very much, Tracey, for coming on today and sharing a bit of your journey.
Thank you.
That's all right. And we might have to have you on again in the future just to see how things are going, maybe in 12 months' time or something.
I'd be happy to.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening, legends, and I'll see you next week. Cheers.
G'day legends, thank you so much for tuning into the show. Just a reminder for where to follow me on social media. I'm The Journey of Trav on Instagram, Trav Dittmar on YouTube, trav.dittmar on TikTok. And if you are listening to this podcast on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please give me a 5-star rating and leave a review as well. That would go a long way to getting this podcast out there. And if you are watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff as well. Thanks heaps legends, and I'll see you next time.